Welcome to the Merrick and H. Ulrich podcast. In this episode, Cleve and I review the Netflix special Remembering Gene Wilder, and we preview I Want Blood by Jerry Cantrell. Enjoy the podcast. It's a good one. All right, welcome back, guys. I'm going to turn my mic down. I feel like I'm a little too loud. All right. We're talking tonight about Remembering Gene Wilder. How have you been, Cleve?
Good.
Yeah, I've been doing good. I've been thinking about writing a lot of different stuff lately. I feel like I've been writing some side project stuff, some ghost writing stuff, and I want to get back to writing something fulfilling. I feel like maybe I've been writing to market a little bit too much. I'm not with my main work, but I feel like I need to get back because if you write to market and then it flops, it's like what the hell you're doing. But if you write your heart, you could. I'm not saying anything I've written under my name, American H. Ulrich, is to market because I've always written fantasy, but I've done some other side projects just for for whatever reasons to try to get some quick sales and things like that. But I probably would like to get back to my.
Sure.
I have a big story I want to write about Vander and the Valorian, and I was thinking about it. I was like, well, it's going to take a long time, but I was like, I might as well start it because I think I want to get once I know I got most of it written, I think I might want to do a Kickstarter for it. And I have the War Drums of Canth. I know that some of the backstory for the Viclogs, I'm going to need it in this story. So as long as I get started, I might get more information that I could write the sequel to the War Drums of Canth. It's kind of like do one thing to do the other thing. Like, I don't know. And then I need to finish the book I have called The Blood Queen, which is kind of like about the villain. I need more backstory about the villain, I guess. So, but
Yeah, with Kickstarter, I would just make sure you give yourself lots of time to fulfill the orders and make sure you have everything in a row. Because when I did my Kickstarter, I'm still working on filling stuff, even this long after.
That's right. I really need to make sure that the book is almost complete before I do the Kickstarter. But I'd like to do a Kickstarter to raise money to do a professional cover and to hire an editor that would be like to really raise the quality of the book. So that's what I would want to do for.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But the name is to be announced. I know the name, but I don't want to put it out there yet. So yeah.
Well, I just released a book. Gunpowder Magic Colette is out.
I'm so excited about that. I'm reading it this week, so I'll get you my review, and I'll be brutally honest with the audience.
Awesome.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about it. I'm pretty sure it's going to be really good. Yeah.
Oh,
I think
it's got a couple of reviews in there so
good.
far.
It's awesome.
Good.
Really good. Yeah, so I'm going to read that this week. Well, I might not finish it this week. I mean, it is, how many pages long is it?
Well, Amazon always shorts you. They make it sound like it's not that long, but it's around 300 pages. But Amazon always says like 250 or something like that. They never, and then you go to the book. You actually go to the paperback, and it's like 336 or something like that. But when you go to the ebook, it always says like 220 something or 230 something or something like that. So, but it's really around 300.
I have
pages.
ADHD. It's amazing that I'm able to write anything because, I have a hard time concentrating. But I do like stories, and sometimes I even listen to Audible. That's the only way I could get through the Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, was listening to it on Audible because it's so big. It's one of those big, I guess 250,000 word books.
Oh, yeah, it's a tome.
So I like. And especially when I used to do that, I would love to get on a zero turn and just turn the headphones on and listen to a Brandon Sanderson novel for 6 hours and not even be halfway through, So that was awesome. Some weird stuff happened this week. I just thought I'd tell the audience today anyways, I was cooking and doing laundry, not laundry. I was doing dishes and cooking, cleaning, getting ready to cook dinner and everything. And so my supermodel girlfriend's daughter had to get a ride home from work. So I left the skillet on the stove, and she called me to give her a ride. I was thinking, okay, she needs a ride now. So I go, and then I wait at her place of employment for 30 minutes in the car. I'm like, gee, thanks. You couldn't give me a heads up that it was going to be a little bit later. So I got back. The house was kind of full of smoky smell because the skillet was on the stove. So a stupid thing.
No.
And I wasn't even drinking at the time, so I can't blame it on anything like that. It was just one of those bad mistakes. But I mean, no fire occurred, so we're fortunate. No fire did occur. So, but
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because that could
oh
have
yeah, I
been
was cleaning a cast
disastrous.
iron skillet, and I had a little bit of water in there, so I guess it evaporated. But I don't know. I thought I turned it off, but then I ran out the door and hurried so I could wait for 20, 30 minutes. So it's what it is. But that's it's kind of one of those things.
Hmm.
In the new age of life, women are not allowed to do dishes, so that falls to us men to do those things. Just
Speaking of women, I reconnected with a
oh,
childhood friend, and guess where
where?
she lives?
Hmm.
Near Houston. So I may be
Cool.
visiting
That's
in the near
awesome.
future.
That'd be great. Maybe we can hang out and do something. I don't know. Go to a movie or grab dinner or something. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know how
Yeah.
soon it's going to be, but
Now, I wish you
sometime in
played
the future.
BattleTech. I've got to do another review on a BattleTech mini coming up pretty soon, or a BattleTech battle mech in the BattleTech universe, and so um, it's called the Stormcrow. And I was going to ask you this question. I was already
Hmm.
planning on asking you, what do you think that phrase means, Stormcrow? I mean, like if you just off the top of your head, because I know in the Lord of the Rings, that one evil dude tells Gandalf, it was like, why come here, Stormcrow, or something like that.
Oh yeah, he goes.
When the king was,
You know,
yeah,
yeah. Why should I listen to
Gandalf
you,
Stormcrow or something. Yes,
Stormcrow, or
yeah. So I
something like
wonder
that? Yeah,
what a
I don't know.
Stormcrow
Maybe it's
is. Is
some
that
like
like a
old.
like a
I don't know, like some
maybe
old
it's like
dude or
somebody
something.
who's like a like a what do you call it? Always bringing bad
You
news.
crotchety
Like
old
he's
man
a
or something.
Stormcrow. He's a negative old guy bringing bad news. But I always thought that was a cool name, Stormcrow. So, but anyways, I'm going to be editing the video of that.
Um,
Probably it will be out before this video will be out because take a little bit of time editing our podcast. So it's going to be about so check out my videos if you like BattleTech. Go check out my favorite mechs of BattleTech, and this one is going to be
Today
about
we
the
talk about
Stormcrow.
the Stormcrow. The
what
storm.
is
It's
BattleTech
it
anyway?
is a
I
strategy
know it's a
game.
game, but
So it's played on hexes. I like the traditional old game that was from the '80s, and basically, they got a whole bunch of lore behind it. It is what you call space opera. Pretty much, it's in a distant future. But what's cool about this is there are no aliens per se in BattleTech. This is all humans they travel off into expanses of space, and then different factions form, military factions trying to claim planets and things like that. So you have one fact. Well, I'm gonna go into the whole universe of BattleTech. We'll be here for 5 hours, but basically, yeah. One thing it's cool. It's like in the setting that I most play in. It's the timeline is like 3050 to 3070, 3080. That's the one I like to play in, but it goes on up to like 3150. They have lore for all that, and so there's the Star League, and then there's the clans who were remnants of the Star League, and then there's the Inner Sphere, and there's all these different factions, and it's just a fun war game, strategy war game. It's not like you can play like a role playing game of it, like, but you need people who you really need somebody who's really adept at. There's a role playing universe about that. You can do role playing with that, but it's mostly just a strategy game, and they have it's it's just a sci-fi strategy game, war game, pretty much. I like it. It's a lot of rolling dice, but there's some chance to it, but it's some strategy too. It's a lot of fun. Stompy robots shooting at
oh,
each
cool.
other. It's kind of actually though when you actually look at the strategy game of how it's played out, it's kind of wonky in a sense because it's like we have better weapon systems than they have in the game in sense of like in real life because you can just zap somebody with a drone or hit somebody from far away. But it's a fun game. So, anyways, it's like a yeah.
Sounds like Starfleet Battles I used to play back in the
Well,
80s and 90s.
this company BattleTech. Well, we're gonna digress here. We'll get back to our topic, but uh, BattleTech got sued by the company that shipped Robotech over to America in the early '80s because they
Mm.
had some of their miniatures looked like Robotech Macross uh, vehicles or whatever.
Mm.
But there's only a couple of them. But it's a fun game. It's got a lot of lore. It's just a fun little escape from reality.
Okay.
Lasers and rockets and missiles, and you can actually do some hand-to-hand combat with the mechs. So like I have lights flickering. They're like 20 to 100 ton uh uh what do you call it, mechanized vehicles that piloted by humans. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
You got a ghost in your house?
probably
It's October.
so. Gosh darn it. All right. Well, hey, man, we were talking about this movie. We were going to talk about Gene Wilder. This is the movie on Netflix. It's called Remembering Gene Wilder. So you'd already seen it, and my girlfriend was talking about it, so I decided to watch it. And yeah, Gene Wilder is just one of those heartfelt actors that, we're never going to see a Gene Wilder again, I don't think, in our lifetime. He was one of one,
No.
I think. I mean, there's just one Gene Wilder.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so very heartfelt person. Comedy that they did between him and Mel Brooks, I feel like we can't even do that kind of comedy anymore. It was so outrageous. You cannot. Those movies could never be made again. And they were so funny. But before we get going, I have some stats here. So if you don't know, Gene Wilder was born in 1933, and his real name was Jerome Silberman. And so the documentary is really cool because it starts off with his childhood. His mother was like terminally ill, and her doctor told him to never argue with your mother and try to make her laugh if at all possible. So he was always trying to joke around and make his mother laugh. I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, he told him that if he argued with his mother, it could kill her. He was literally told that it could kill her. So,
and you could see like he did have like a very niceness about him, just very, what do you call it, civility. But you even talked about how like he was never allowed to be angry ever, and that kind of probably repressed him a lot, But his characters and stuff.
But it affected his demeanor.
Now, my girlfriend was telling me about this documentary, and she said, "Well, man, Gene Wilder was just like in the right place at the right time." Everything lined up in his life just perfectly. And like if one thing was off, he wouldn't have been able to do what he did. But I will say one thing. He did do something that was in his favor. If he hadn't done this, he would not have been in movies or anything. But he was on Broadway. He was in the place trying to act, trying to do the things. But he had a chance meeting with a director, writer, Mel Brooks. And the rest is pretty much history. So, yeah. And his first movie that he starred in as a leading role was supposed to be called Springtime for Hitler, but it's better known as The Producers. I can see why they don't want to have a title of a movie called Springtime for Hitler in Germany,
which is still the name of the play in The Producers. But
it's really the whole premise of that movie is like the producer of the film of the play figured out he had all these old ladies buying shares of the production, and he had more investors than they had a budget for the film. So he figured if the play could flop, they could make all this money. So they try to make the worst play imaginable, and they came up with this terrible script, Scream Time for Hitler in Germany. And like everybody hates the Nazis. So they're like, this will flop. People will be so mad. They'll be asking for their money back. Perfect.
And to make it worse, they made it a musical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Musical. Springtime.
It was so terrible, but it became like a comedy, so everybody loved it, and it's a really great movie. Funny thing is,
it's been remade too.
Oh,
it's been remade. Matthew Broderick and Nathan. Oh, I can't remember his name. I can see his face.
I can't see his face, but I understand what you're saying. But I was going to say, the funny thing about that movie
Nathan
is
Lane,
that Mel Brooks believed so much in Gene Wilder that when one of the real studio executives came to him and said, "I like the movie, but get rid of this Gene Wilder guy. He doesn't look like a leading actor. I need a leading man. This guy is just his curly hair. I don't get it. Get rid of him." And to Mel Brooks' credit, he just lied to the producer and said, "Oh yeah, he's gone, he's finished." But he just never told Gene that, and they just kept doing everything. And then eventually, they got to the point where he told the producer, "Hey, I'm sorry, but Gene Wilder's made half the movie already. If we take him out, we can't afford it." And he's like, "All right, whatever." And it was a success. So thank God the movie was a success because, and so. That's one of those movies, I guess. It was a success commercially, so I guess you can't do that one and flop at the box.
Oh, yeah. Can't do
that
flop
one,
at
at
the
least,
box.
I think. I think The Producers was a hit. I'm not sure. Was it?
Yeah. It was a hit, yeah. But I can do other ones.
Yes.
which we'll mention in a
Absolutely.
moment.
He did some weird movies, I have to say. The movie that he did next, I do have my questions about this one. What was the name of it? It was yeah, I
The
was
one
like,
with the
I
sheep.
haven't seen that one yet.
I have not seen it. I don't have
Everything
any
you
desire to
always
see it
want to
because I think
know
it's
about
dumb.
sex, but were afraid to ask. And I guess that was produced by Woody Allen. And
Woody
Woody Allen has
Allen.
already some
Yeah.
cringe relationships and stuff, so some questionable. Apparently, there was a part in the movie called "What Is Sodomy." I don't know. It just man, that just I'm sorry that again. There's a movie that couldn't be made again. I don't think, but he survived that as a career. But I mean, it's a weird movie. I haven't seen it. It's a
I haven't
man who
seen it. I don't really
falls in
have a
love with a
desire
sheep.
to.
I
Hmm.
don't. Yeah, I haven't seen that one. Woody Allen has some strange ideas, but he did make Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory a year before that, and he almost didn't
Mm-hmm.
make that movie. He said he didn't like the entrance of Willy Wonka from the Chocolate Factory, and so he changed that. And it's an iconic thing where he walks out
Right.
real slow and trips and does a somersault. So you never know if like
Mm-hmm.
Willy Wonka is being serious or not. It's a great movie, but again, that one was a flop too. Why do you think that movie was a flop at the box?
Probably
Yeah,
ahead of its time. It's going to be one of my flop of the box movies that I'm going to review when my podcast goes up. But yeah, I think, well, for one thing, it's based on the book Charlie
yeah,
and the Chocolate Factory, and they changed to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate
yeah.
Factory. But I don't know if that had anything really to do with the flopping of it. I think it probably came out at the wrong time. I need to do a little bit more research, but it probably came out with, my guess is it came out at the wrong time. There was probably other stuff that was coming out in 71 the same time,
Maybe the
probably that was
studio didn't
bigger.
push it right or something, market it right. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
heard that the critics said that Mother said that it was too cruel to children at the time.
Like the
Yeah,
boat scene where he's
yeah,
screaming
psychotic. But it's so
and stuff.
iconic that I mean, like, it's such a cult favorite. I mean, that song, "Pure Imagination," that one where Gene sings.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a wonderful song, and it gets stuck in my head. And there's a band that covered that song. You got to go check it out. It's a band
Mm-hmm.
called the Smoking Popes, and they did that
Really?
song in a world of pure imagination, and it was really rocked it out. I mean, it's not too much heavier than the original, but it just rocks the way they do it. The Smoking Popes
Hmm.
cover of "A World of Pure Imagination." Check it out; it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, Gene Wilder just has this air about him of like being very kind and kind of being sensitive and yet funny and just kind of unique. Like they said that his first movie he played was in Bonnie and Clyde. He had a small part in Bonnie and Clyde, and they said the producers of that. So I guess it was. Did I say is it Ned Beatty or Ted Beatty? I agree. Ned Beatty.
It's
Yeah,
Ned Beatty.
so he was in it, and so was I can't remember the actress that was in it, but
Oh, you're probably. It wasn't Ned Beatty that was in that movie, was it? That was
I think it was, but maybe I'm wrong. No, maybe I was wrong. I don't quote me on that one. Sorry, that was wrong. But the Bonnie and Clyde movie, he played a small role of a person who's, and he played it comically, and they didn't expect him to do it, but they liked it. So
It was
Warren Beatty.
Warren
God, I
Beatty.
was so wrong. Sorry. Thank you.
Ned Beatty's like
Thank you
the
for
big guy.
correcting me there.
Well, the reason I knew that is because I was just watching him on Silver
Oh yeah,
Streak. But
yeah.
anyway, go ahead.
So yeah, there's another good movie too that they mentioned in the movie. So if we're gonna go chronologically through his movies, I mean he had some movies that I have not seen. He was in Start the Revolution Without Me,
I have
Quacker
not seen it.
Quacker Fortune has a cousin in the Bronx. I don't know what that means. Of
Nope.
course, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Everything you always wanted to know about sex,
Yep.
but we're afraid to ask. Rhinoceros. I'm not
Nope.
familiar with that.
Nope.
Blazing Saddles was in 1974, and
Yep.
it's probably one of the greatest movies ever made. But again, this is a movie that could not be made in our time. It just
The Waco
it couldn't
Kid.
be
Yeah,
done.
it could
There's
not be.
too many
You're right.
scenes. They said the word we cannot speak of many times, but it really is a it's done in a way that is very anti-racism. It really shows the racism of people in the West and kind of makes fun of it. Some of the Southern racism
Hmm.
of a lot of the early white settlers.
Yeah, but just like a lot of songs out there that are Like, for example, I'll give you an example. Pat Benatar's Hell is for Children. People misunderstand it. They misunderstand Blazing Saddles. That it's anti-racism.
Yes,
it's
very
not racist.
anti-racism. It talks. I mean, the whole premise of the movie, of course, the Harvey McCormick. Did I say his wrong name? Harvey Korman. Oh, what's his name? Harvey Korman plays a really great character. He plays a character that's what is his name? And he kept saying the actress's name. He's like, no, it's what's that lady's name? Dang, I can't think of his name now. Character Harvey Korman plays, but he is the basically the state assessor or something like that, a land assessor or whatever, and he's trying to do a classic land grab in the west of where the railroad's going to go. So he's got to drive the settlers out of the town. So how could they more offend the town of Rockridge by him putting a black sheriff to be their sheriff? So he's just trying to either get the sheriff killed or get the people to flee the town, you know? And so it's a really funny movie. It has Slim Pickens in it, I believe. Very funny Western, but yet it's like a parody of a Western, just a complete parody. Slim Pickens is just hilarious in that, you know?
The only thing that I didn't like about Blazing Saddles is when it turns into the modern times.
Oh yeah, they break the third wall. So.
They run to the car and they break through. I was like,
when Harvey Korman is fighting the sheriff and Gene in the theater and stuff, it just seems like kind of silly. I will say that I saw this, and you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember seeing this. I'll have to get my sources. Is that I believe that what's his name? The director of Blazing Saddles. Why can't I think his name? Split my Mel Brooks, of course. Yes,
Mel Brooks.
He wanted to have. He wanted to have. God dang! This is such a known name. He wanted to have a different actor play the sheriff. He wanted to have Richard Pryor. There we go. Richard Pryor came out of my mouth finally. Richard Pryor play the sheriff, and actually some of the jokes from Blazing Saddles were written by Richard Pryor. He was writing some of the stuff. He was like one of the writers. It wasn't like the main writer, but he was one of the writers. And the studio executives said, no, hard no. He's not well known enough. He's just a nobody. So they didn't have him. And they had a great actor play the sheriff. Can't think of his name off the top of my head, but it's really
Cleavon Little.
Cleavon Little. He was great, and he kind of had a stage presence to him. Like some of the songs they sing, like they told him to sing a song, and he was like saying, you know that song where it's like, I get no kick from champagne, mere alcohol doesn't thrill me at all. Still tell me why should it be true that I get a belt out of you? Anyways, and all the actors and actresses in that were just amazing. And I think Wilder really kind of showcased his talent there with Mel Brooks again, and really kind of cemented him in with really his best movies starting out, I think, were with Mel Brooks, in my opinion. Besides the Chocolate Factory, which is one of the more iconic ones, but wasn't by Mel Brooks.
Which was directed by Mel Stewart. Another Mel.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, so I would say Blazing Saddles is one of my all-time favorite funny movies, but you're right. When it does break the third wall, it gets a little silly when they're fighting in the movie sets and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then in 1974, we have
Young Frankenstein. Well, actually, he had The Little Prince. I don't know. I haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen Little Prince.
Yeah, he plays the fox in The Little Prince. But then they had Young Frankenstein, and absolutely funniest movie, probably even tops Blazing Saddles, which is hilarious. Written by Gene Wilder. He had the brains behind, and the cast of characters he put together for that. Is it Marty Feldman? Is his name? Feldman plays
Marty Feldman,
plays Igor. Yeah, it's just some of the lines in that are just so.
Yes.
He tells him, Mr. Dr. Frankenstein. He's like, it's Frankenstein. He's like, no, you're putting me on, are you? Igor, no, Igor, no, it's pronounced Igor. It's like,
yeah, walk this way.
It's funny. He's like, I can help you with that hump. What hump?
What hump?
It's just such a great movie.
One of my favorites is, wow, what
Yeah, he's banging on
knockers.
the doors. He's
Thank
like,
you, doctor.
"Thank you, doctor." It's so funny. She was just great. Gene Wilder again was over
Terry
the
Garner.
top, on everything. Frau Blucher in the horse's neigh. Every time they say it, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
Everything was just so subtly funny in that movie, and they had such a great cast of actors and actresses in that movie. So yeah, I think it's one of my favorite Gene Wilder movies. It's a great movie to watch at this time of year too, if you want to watch. I'm not really a scary movie guy, but I think that's kind of a funny Halloween movie you could watch. Is Young Frankenstein.
Well, I've seen all the Frankenstein movies, and it's a
Yeah.
great
Now you know
parody.
what's funny is this movie was supposed to be made by Columbia Pictures, but when and it talks about that in the movie, um, remembering Gene
Mm-hmm.
Wilder, and Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder walked into Columbia. They're like, "Yeah, we're gonna make this movie," and then they say, "Oh, it's gonna be in black and white," and they're like, "No, that's a
That's a
okay.
deal breaker.
The deal is broken." But I mean, if you think about it, I couldn't imagine that movie being made in color. It would have just ruined the effect
It would have
because it's
ruined
such a
it. Yeah.
satire. And I think if you didn't do it like that, it would have just been like it would seem like maybe like a cheap Saturday Night Live episode or something like that.
Mm. Put the candle
Yeah,
back.
it's so great. So many funny lines in there. He's like, "Their wolf, their castle. Why are you talking like that? I thought you wanted to." Is that yeah? So funny. Oh man, the whole cast is funny. The scene with there's an iconic scene in that movie. When the monster and Dr. Frankenstein dance and sing "Putting on the Ritz." And Mel Brooks originally wanted to
Mhm.
take it out of the movie. He thought that was just too silly, like they were just going too far with it. But it's one of the most iconic.
Which is strange considering Blazing Saddles with the running through the theater. You'd think that he'd be okay with it because in the movie, Remembering Gene Wilder, it was talking about Mel Brooks was actually talking about. He was talking about he thought it would, since they were doing such an homage to Universal,
Yeah,
Frankenstein monster films, that it would take the audience away from that. And I was thinking that's odd for
right.
him to say, but of course when he saw it, then he
Yeah,
was like,
this is the
"Yes,
best
it
thing
stays
ever. It's
in."
like the best part of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, honestly, I haven't seen The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes' Smarter Brother. Like, I want to see that. That sounds like that
I
looks
do want to see
that
that.
looks
I haven't seen it either. I
yeah.
didn't even know that
Yeah, I have
existed
to
until I
find
saw
that.
the
But I do
film.
remember watching Silver Streak as a kid. I think I found this movie and I found it at a time when I was like maybe like a young adult, like might be 17 or 18. I just thought that was a cool kind of semi-adult movie because it's about meeting this girl on a train. It's kind of like a playback to North by Northwest because stuff happens on the train, you know. So I thought that was kind of cool, and
Yeah.
having Richard Pryor in there, it was just like a cool movie that I never saw before. I enjoyed it. It had some funny parts in it. It still had the kind of like the action part. It was like kind of an action movie, but some funny parts.
Fun fact: I went to that movie
Uh huh.
in the theater when it first came out in 1976 when I was 8 years old, and I did not watch it hardly at all because I was 8 years old and it
Yeah.
was boring to me. And so for years I thought that's a boring movie. Even when I got older, and then I'm actually watching it. I was watching it before this podcast. And I was
It's a
like, "This is
great
a
movie,
great
yeah.
movie.
I think I saw it when
I
I was
love
like
this
17
movie."
or 18, maybe 16, and I just thought like, wow, this is kind of cool because it has some kind of like adult air to it, you know. So kind of, I think the guy meets that girl on a train. I think that starts something with that. It's
Hmm.
been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah,
North by Northwest. If you've seen that
yeah,
from 1959,
yeah. And so there's intrigue going on on the train, and then the Richard Pryor's character.
he gets
Yeah, it's
involved
just
in it.
and this
Yeah,
is the first movie that Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder worked together.
I know. And Richard Pryor didn't even come into it like
Yeah,
an
he's
hour
like
into the film.
he's great in the movie, but you're right. It's so weird because the whole thing is about the plot on the train with Gene Wilder's character. And it's been so long since I've seen it. I need a refresher on it because I just remember liking it and just thinking as a young adult that was like a kind of edgy in some kind of way. It's kind of weird, but yeah, I was raised pretty mild.
It's fun too because it has Jaws in it. From James Bond.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Richard
Yeah,
Kyle. He's on it, and he's like, he's playing a very
yeah.
James
So it's
Bondish
kind of like
type
that.
character.
It's like one of those kind of movies. It's not what you think, kind of, but it's a good movie. And I think so. This is when
Hmm.
Gene Wilder
Yeah.
and Richard Pryor first worked together, and I think they discovered the chemistry that
Mhm.
they had. And I heard that Offset, like at beginning with it, they would clown around, but then as soon as the show was over, they just leave. But it makes me seems odd because I've heard some other reports about how they were very close and stuff. At the end there, they were really very good friends.
Silver Streak is one of those movies too that could not be made today.
Yeah,
or would not be made today, especially with the shoe polish scene.
That was just commonplace, I guess, back then, because you see so many movies back in the day, with whether it was Bing Crosby or those kind of things. Yeah,
but you're right. I did see that too. That they said they kind of went their separate ways after filming, which is kind of odd.
But later in life, I heard some differing reports because I saw an interview that's on YouTube. You look it up where Gene Wilder was talking about Richard Pryor, and he said that, like, I don't know if you heard the story. It's on YouTube, and this is Gene speaking in the YouTube clip that I saw. I don't know what documentary or what interview it was from. I have to look it up. But he said talking about Richard Pryor that one time they went to the he wanted to take Richard Pryor to this art museum, and so he took him there, and they're in the taxi, and then the taxi cab driver was chatting up both of them, and Richard Pryor kind of cut the guy off, like said something real quick and just changed the subject, like basically kind of a jerk a little bit, and just kind of shut the guy up. And then when Richard Pryor got to when they got out of the taxi, he said to Gene, was I kind of being an asshole to that guy? He's like, well, you kind of were. He's like, well, I'm sorry, Gene. He said, I just don't like when people take away our time that I have with you. And I thought, and he said he was really amazed that, another man could be like that, open about his feelings to him, and then he said he showed him some painting that was like real famous, and Richard Pryor looked at it and was like, oh, that's pretty good. And then he walked over to another painting that he never heard of. He was like, oh, Gene, check this out. Oh my God, this is, and he said that was like, that painting ended up being one of his favorite paintings ever. And anyway, it's just kind of interesting how I think later in life they might have developed a better friendship. It seemed like they did at the end there. I don't know. But according to Gene Wilder, I'll have to find that YouTube. I'll send it to you when I find it. Yeah.
Okay.
But cool. So the Silver Streak, I don't know if we're going to go through all his movies, but he made a lot of movies, but you see towards the end there, I didn't see The World's Greatest Lover. I want to see that. The Frisco Kid, you were telling me about that. I can't believe I never saw that one. Of course, I've seen Stir Crazy. I've seen Stir Crazy, Hanky Panky. The Woman in Red, I don't remember that.
I've seen that one. That one has Kelly LeBrock in it. When she's still like Kelly LeBrock. She was the woman from Weird Science. The one they made.
Yeah, we just watched Weird Science not too long ago. I was like, this is another movie that you couldn't make.
Yeah, and she's at her prime, so she's just gorgeous.
Check that out. Film. And then there's Haunted Honeymoon. I haven't seen that.
I saw it a long time ago, but I remember nothing about it.
And then I know I've seen See No Evil, Hear No Evil. And did I mention Stir?
What are you, blind? Yes.
Yeah, and there's Stir Crazy. I've seen that. And did I mention that already? I don't know. And then Funny About Love. I don't remember that one. Another You, and then he did Expo Magic of the White City as a documentary. I'm not sure. So he did a lot of television too. But I mean, I remember him saying, like when he got into becoming a writer, that he didn't get the roles that he wanted anymore. It wasn't getting offered any kind of good roles that he liked, so he just stopped. And if you watch some of the video on YouTube of him just talking, he says that Hollywood was really a rough place. That you it's hard to get a job when you're young, and then when you do, you have this window of time to make movies and stuff. And that he just said a lot of stuff about it being like a rough.
Hollywood's always been a rough town since the beginning, pretty much.
And a lot of people don't even get the opportunity to do what he did,
So didn't he make I seem to remember seeing a television show like something
there
Wilder,
is. It's mentioned here in his bio. He did something about something Wilder from 94 to 95. What was that?
That was a television show, like a sitcom. You look at it briefly, but I wanted to say something, and I forgot to say it earlier, and I'll say it now. When the video first started, when the documentary first started, Gene Wilder is narrating it, and I was thinking, is this AI?
Yeah,
AI? Because he's talking about all this stuff, and I was thinking, how did he do this? And then I looked it up, and it's from his audiobook, from his autobiography audiobook. So he's doing that, and they took that narration and they put it to this documentary. So that's how he's narrating the film. So I was wondering.
I thought the same thing. I was wondering if it was AI.
Yeah, and so I wanted to clear that up before people see it. That it's not that's not AI. That's actually him. It's from his audiobook from 2005, and they just used the narration from that
Yeah,
for the film, and it works perfectly,
honestly, it
seamlessly.
was a great film, but I mean, I feel like because Gene Wilder was such a unique person that almost any film about him would be good. Because if you just put the right points in there of stuff he's done with his life and stuff, I mean, that was just very heartfelt person. I mean, getting into his personal life, he was married several times, and the documentary talks about it. It talks about that. You know what it doesn't talk about, which I just noticed looking up, is he was married 2 times before he married Gilda Radner. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Didn't even mention that.
Really?
He was married to Mary Mercer in 1960 to 1965, and Mary Joanne Schultz from 1967 to 1974, and then Gilda Radner from 84 to 89 after her tragic death, and then he found his second love. I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about Gilda Radner, but I mean, it does talk about in the documentary that she's doesn't mention it, but I know they said that in another documentary that she was a pretty heavy alcoholic, and so they had a hard time with that. And then they had a lot of differences. Like she liked the city, he liked a quiet, more country town. And then she got cancer,
Mm-hmm.
which is really tragic after the loss of their pregnancy that happened. And he said that he thought she was going to recover. He was the only one that was stupidly thinking that she was just going to be fine. And it's got
Mm-hmm.
going through cancer has got to be like the worst thing. And plus, if your spouse goes through it, it's just the other thing. So
And
yeah,
you
very
feel helpless,
tragic.
yeah.
And so, I mean, he was single for several years, and then he remarried. And he was really on it. What's really kind of interesting is he married a very normal woman. I hate to say normal because his second wife in '91, I guess he married 2 years later to Karen Boyer until his death. She seemed like she wasn't a movie star or anything like that. She wasn't in Hollywood. She was actually doing stuff for the deaf. And She seemed like just a very nice lady. And Gene was just a very caring guy. They seemed to get along. And just, tragically, it does talk about the documentary his health conditions that happened afterwards, where he developed severe
Mm-hmm.
dementia and Alzheimer's. I don't know if I'm moving past everything too
Mm-hmm.
fast, but I mean, you're gonna see. But
No, that's good.
yeah,
You're just
but
fine.
it's really sad too about dementia and Alzheimer's is he had a very severe case of it, and my girlfriend is even though she's a supermodel, she's studying to be a nurse too, so it's good because she take care of me.
A
Yeah, but
nurse supermodel.
she was talking about people don't realize that Alzheimer's is a disease that affects your body, not just the mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's eating your brain away, so it takes away your
Yeah,
motor
so I
skills and
mean, at
everything.
some point you can get to a point where your body will forget how to breathe. Isn't that crazy? Or you
It is
forget how
crazy.
to keep your heart pumping. It's just really crazy. And it's really sad too. He got to a point where he
Mm-hmm.
couldn't even remember the name of young Frankenstein in the movies like that. You know what I mean? That's just terrible. You can't. It's a very horrible disease. So it's just they call it the long goodbye. But anyways, I don't want to talk about that. It's kind of a downer. But he was what
Yeah,
showed me on the end of that, which was very heartfelt, was kind of correct. Kind of it'll get you unless you're got a heart of stone. It'll get you that movie, the ending there. But I don't want to. I don't know if I should give away any more about the movie, but it's just really good. Some of the things he said to his wife uh, before he died, and just some of the interesting things shows that they really loved each other, which is all you can ask for. At the end of the day, is you have somebody who loves and cares about you.
well, finding love once is almost impossible. Finding it
Yeah,
twice is like phenomenal. It's like winning the
yeah,
lottery, I
yeah.
think,
It
almost.
is. And a lot of people fool themselves of just running through relationships and stuff like that because that feels good, but it's definitely not love. So yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yep,
but it's
it's a
downer.
downer. Oh, sorry guys for bringing the energy down.
Love
Yeah,
hurts.
love hurts. Yeah, yeah. So, amazing guy, great documentary. So go check out "Remembering Gene Wilder." It's hard to put it's just a good movie. It's a good documentary.
On
Netflix.
Netflix.
Yeah, I've always liked Gene Wilder. I always liked him. He's such an odd character. His humor in Young
Hmm.
Frankenstein, the producers, Blazing Saddles, just
Well, I think if you're Gen X and you don't like Gene Wilder from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, you've
yeah,
missed
you must
out
have
in
had a
life
bad
somewhere.
childhood or something.
Yeah. hadn't seen it at least once when we were kids.
Yeah, it was a great movie, and even when I remember when I was a kid, I was just like I was excited to hear about the candy and stuff. I was like, wow, yeah.
Oh yeah, I was like the chocolate room. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that line he says in the chocolate factory is so funny. Is like when he was talking to Charlie and he's putting him on and everything, and he's like, "No, you get nothing. You lose." And that's like. Good day, sir. It becomes like a meme. It was so funny. It's like that's like a meme on Facebook now. You could look that up or put it on something. You get nothing.
Well, I like the line in Willy Wonka when Augustus Gloop is going up the tube. He's like, "The suspense is terrible. I hope it'll last." And that actually came from Oscar Wilde, The Importance of Being Earnest. But I first heard it in that, and I always thought it was Willy Wonka, but it actually comes from another Wilder.
It's funny. So yeah.
I hope it will last.
That's crazy.
And the
it's such a trippy movie too. It's very trippy movie, film. Like when they're going through the small door, they get on the giant door and everything. It's just great. And it's funny because they have Wonka candy for real. I don't know if that's a real thing, if that became before, if it was always that way, but
I think it came after, but it's cool anyway.
I got a golden ticket. It's
the only song I didn't like in that was "Cheer Up, Charlie."
Sad song?
My daughters, my daughters and I, we always make fun of that song. Every time we're something's going wrong, we're like, "Cheer up, Charlie." We're like, no,
So why does his grandparents so bedridden, and then when he just jumps out of bed like this whole time, you could have done something? Oh god. It's just so funny. The poorest kid in the world doesn't get a chance. He can only buy one chocolate bar. It's like winning the lottery when you only play one lottery ticket. Yeah. But it was a great movie. So if you're living under a rock and you don't know who Gene Wilder is, I mean, golly, I feel bad for you. Maybe the Gen Zs don't know who he is. I don't know. Gen Ys.
Well, if Gen Z doesn't know who he is, they need to look him up.
A very funny and kind of sad person too, because I think he had that kind of a straight kind of comedy and very. You can tell he's very sincere and very like heartfelt. He just strikes me as a kind person. Like I never knew him, but I felt like you kind of knew him by watching his movies and stuff. It's like, even though like just get that feeling, you know.
Yeah. His demeanor has been compared to Jimmy Stewart a lot. Like he's a modern day Jimmy Stewart or was.
And you can't even say he's modern day because it was like a generation at the time.
Well, at the time when people were talking about it. Obviously not now, but
very kind person, very affable, I guess you might say, but funny, very funny. The lines in Young Frankenstein is just ridiculous when he's, "My grandfather's work was doo-doo." Frankenstein. So, anyways, "My name is Frankenstein," or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that movie is funny from the very beginning when he's Frankenstein and he's a professor giving the lecture at the beginning of the film.
He stabs himself with a scalpel.
All that whole sequence. And
you
there
notice
is just hilarious.
that the old man is also on Blazing Saddles. He plays one of the townspeople. What are the townspeople's names? They're all the same. They're all related. And the Blazing Saddles is like Jones or something like that, or Smith.
I don't remember.
It's like,
rewatch that.
I think Abel Jones is right about being right. And remember when we fought Dix? Remember when Richard Dix tried to take over this town? And we didn't let him, did we? Well, you just heard some real... I'm glad our children were here to hear that real old Western jibber jabber by Milton Jones. Couldn't said better himself.
Yep. I'm going to have to rewatch it. All I remember right now in my head is, of course, the Waco Kid, which is Gene Wilder. And I remember a little bit of Harvey Korman. And I remember, of course, the infamous bean scene around the campfire.
Yeah. Well, I remember the ringing the bell. I mean, the sheriff is near! The sheriff is near! Anyways.
Yeah, I remember that too. And when he first shows up.
And, he's talking to him. Gene Wilder's character's talking to the sheriff. He's like, "What'd you think they were going to do? Come tell you, hey, marry my daughter. These are simple people. These are farmers. These are people of the earth. You know, morons. Yeah, it's a good movie. Well, hey guys, let's we're gonna take a commercial break here, and then we'll come right back. We want to talk about. We want to get a little. We're gonna just a short talk about what's coming out on October 18th, and that is Jerry Cantrell's album, "I Want Blood." So, it's "I Want Blood," right? Or give me. I always get that back. "I Want Blood."
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
we don't have the full scoop on this because the full album will be out on October 18th in about a week or so. So, but we're gonna talk about that when we come right back. All right, here we go. We'll see you. Just a second. Have you read Red Mage Ascending, the Mage of Blood Magic, in the Tournament of Mages Book 1 by Cleve Bourbon? The servant girl has a secret, and she's hiding it in plain sight. Hannah works for a well-to-do family who treats her well, but something is not quite right. The servant girl doesn't act like a servant. She speaks with multiple languages, including High Elvish. She is a skilled musician and a talented artist. There is also another talent, but its secret Hannah guards closely. She can use blood magic. She is hiding because she knows if she is found out, she will have to fight in the Tournament of Mages, a contest where she will be pitted against 5 other mages with different forms of magic. She has left everything behind, her family, her friends, and the one secret she dares not reveal. Now available on Kindle, audiobooks on Audible, in hardcover and paperback. Find it online on Amazon Kindle, Barnes & Noble's, iBooks, Kobo, and wherever you buy good books. This book is by Cleve Bourbon. Buy it now. Have you read Brothers of Chaos Part 1, an epic coming-of-age dark fantasy tale by Merrick and H. Ulrich? Vandrin of House Glenclair faces insurmountable odds fighting against the corrupt Melborians. He will rely on an unexpected friendship with an elf named Zankadin Umbadin and his alluring sister Zyla. Together they will face the will of the Blood Queen, Empress Ash Exana, and a treacherous plot of a beautiful young blood mage named Lilith. This series is epic fantasy, sword and sorcery, mild dark fantasy with some adult situations. You may find it on Amazon Kindle Unlimited, audiobooks with Audible, and you can buy the whole series in print, Brothers of Chaos by Merrick and H. Ulrich. All right, and we're back. So, guys, if you haven't heard, Jerry Cantrell is the lead guitar player and one of the main songwriters for the band Alice in Chains. After Lane Staley's untimely death, they took a break for a little while, but then they got the band back together, and they've been playing shows with the new lead singer. But he's doing a solo album, and it's called I Want Blood. But there's 2 singles out already, so the first one up is Vilified. What did you think of that song?
It's awesome. It's very, very Alice in Chains sounding to me.
I was going to tell you, you got to put sunglasses on for this because it's so dark.
I don't have mine with me, but
I know I should first. Okay, I'll take them off. You're not going to wear yours.
But the title, I want blood because it's October. He's a vampire. No, I'm kidding.
It's perfect time to talk about it.
Of course, he wants blood. Anyway, Vilify, or is it Vilify or Vilified?
I think it's called Vilified.
Anyway, I listened to it about 4 or 5 times today, and it's awesome. It's very if you like Alice in Chains, it's definitely, to my ears, it's very much Alice in Chains like, more so than the other song that came out. But it's it's very good. I love the song. It's great.
Yeah, I'm really excited because I think the whole album's going to be good.
Yeah,
I heard a little bit of teaser on another thing. Let's just play a few seconds of Vilified. We're going to get demonetized, but we don't have any money. We're not monetized, so it doesn't really matter. So we're just going to play a few seconds of that.
Up yours, YouTube. No, I'm kidding.
That's right.
Stop. No, don't say that.
No.
It was a kid. It was a kidding.
I don't know if it's coming through at all, but
you can hear it a little bit.
Raise it up a little bit. Very heavy. I like the little riffs in the back.
Yeah. And of course, it sounds like Alice in Chains because he's the guitarist. But
yeah. It does sound very Alice in Chains. This is vilified. Even the harmonies, the vocals sound Alice in Chains.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a little hook coming up here in the vocals.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's using a talk box right there.
Sounds a lot like Alice in Chains.
I wouldn't mind seeing this guy in concert.
Yeah.
I really would like to. That'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, let's we're gonna stop it right there. But that's Vilified.
Mm-hmm.
Vilified. Yep. We're gonna listen to the other single that's already out,
Afterglow.
And it's called Afterglow. Yeah. So let's check this out here. Put my microphone up.
I think I even like this one a little bit better than Vilified. Afterglow it's a great song.
This song's got a little bit of a pop hook. When I say pop hook, it's got just a more single kind of sound to it. Maybe that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, more of a single. Just comes out right away with a cool guitar hook.
It's funny because you're listening to the guitar hooks and I'm listening to the bass.
I think it's going to pick up here in a second, I think.
Yeah.
I like it. It's real chill. It's really kind of... So, let me turn it down a little bit. So when I looked this up already, it's tracking at number 17 on the rock CD and album sales, vinyl sales right now on Amazon. I don't know. I don't guess that's a definitive chart, but you know, we authors, we look up Amazon stats. I always look at my stats, but so it's charting, and I think this is going to be a big album. So I guess it's pre-orders right there.
Yeah.
For the October 18th.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's so far the first two are so good. It's like you're ready for the rest of the album.
Yeah. It's funny. I saw him in an interview with Rick Beato on his channel, and it's I remember Jerry Cantrell from that MTV Live Unplugged. I'm always looking at that one, and of course that was like 30 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So his hair is a lot grayer and thinner. It's still long. I was like, man, it makes me want to grow my hair out. I haven't had a haircut in a while. Maybe I should just grow my hair out, be all gray, long hair. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, so we're really looking forward. I was cutting off, but I mean, we could listen to the whole song. But yeah, you're going to want to check out those two singles. So Vilified and Afterglow. But the whole album will be out in just about a week. So we'll be talking about it. Maybe next podcast or the one after that, we'll probably be talking about it.
Talk about the rest of the album.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great album, and it's good to see that he's still out there. I saw some really cool things about how he runs his sound. He's old school. Like they go through a wall of amps in the studio using not digital stuff at all, using just all analog pedals and effects and chains and stuff.
Wow.
So just have some really cool vintage gear. I like that kind of stuff. I like the real stuff. It's a lot harder to haul around and everything, but I mean, yeah.
I'm gonna have
to
watch
to get
that.
loud.
I'm gonna have to watch that Rick Beato video where he interviews him. I'm gonna have to watch that.
And honestly, he's got some samples of some of the other songs, and they sound great, really great. So I guess Rick Beato got the inside scoop there.
Now I really want to see it.
Yeah, it's really cool. it's interesting to see how, if I can't remember if there were guys from the Alice in Chains band that played along, or if he just had an ensemble of other musicians. I can't really remember now. Sorry, I don't have that
I didn't
information.
look that up either. Sorry.
Maybe I'll put the names of the people on the screen right now who are recording, who are the players of this album. So it's right here. There you go. Check it out.
Excellent. Right.
Yeah, right there. Yep. Perfect. Well, anyways, man, it's been a great show. Good talking to us. We're just barely taking a quick look at Jerry Cantrell's new album that's coming out.
October 18th.
I Want Blood. October 18th.
I Want Blood.
Afterglow and
Vilified are out now. Yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds great. And I don't know about where he's touring at, but maybe it'd be great to go see a show. Maybe we could do something fun and one day go meet up in Dallas or San Antonio or somewhere and go to a concert. It'd be kind of fun. We'd do some live video for YouTube and stuff.
And I believe those two songs already have videos here on YouTube.
Yeah, they do have music videos on there, but I just went ahead and listened to the ones without the videos because I didn't want to be distracted.
Right.
Like ADHD. Yeah.
It's like squirrel.
Yeah, but they did have. I'm listening to the one right here. It has the lyrics, so I think that's kind of cool. Like for the Afterglow one, it's
a very simple song. I looked at the lyrics as well earlier today.
You never know the shapes are thin, drawn in shadows lines. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying that it's a very simple song. When you look at the lyrics, there's not a lot to it, but as far as lyrically, but it's cool. I mean, it's a very simple song, but it's very complex with all the music and everything to it. I was surprised to see when I saw the verses how small the verses were. I was like, wow, it's such a big song to be.
It doesn't sound like it's short or like lacking anything. I heard that Jerry Cantrell, when he writes a song, of course he does music first and lyrics are just last. He like kind of hums something or has a few lines that he says, and I feel like that's the way I've always felt like music should be written. You kind of have a feeling, and then you go with that feeling, and eventually you put the wop bop a loo bop a wop bam bam.
Yeah,
but it's a really solid. If you like kind of like heavy guitar riffs, so we're talking like hard rock. It's not like metal. It's more like hard rock so far. What I would categorize it, which is the good old Alice in Chains edgy rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great guitar player. He hasn't slowed down, in my opinion, at all with guitar. So, can't wait to hear the rest of the album.
Yeah, I can't wait till it comes out either. I was kind of when I looked at it, and it was like I thought that it, you thought it had already come out, and I thought that it already come out as well. So I looked it up, and I was like, oh, it's just got 2 songs.
I know. Yeah, that's crazy. I was thinking it was coming out earlier. So, but anyways, we'll tell you more about it as soon as we know more. Yeah. We'll share our thoughts on it.
It will make an appearance again.
It will be back with Jerry Cantrell. I Want Blood for October.
Want Blood.
Give me. It's funny because I was thinking that we just reviewed Keep Me Fed
Keep Me Fed. I Want Blood.
And I Want Blood. So it's like I thought it was like I Want Blood, Keep Me Fed. They're kind of like, I don't know, vampire stuff.
And then what? Something more? What was the
A Gory Mori May, if you want to check out our review of A Gory Mori May by the Smashing Pumpkins. And then we just reviewed Guster, Ganging Up on the Sun last podcast. And then the one before that, I think we did Elliott Smith XO. And then before that, did we do that? It was the Heaven Shine. What's the band that sings that? Shine Down?
We did Collective Soul.
Collective Soul, yeah. I can't remember the name of that album.
It was Collective Soul. Was it just... Oh, I can't remember it either.
From Here to Eternity.
Yeah, Here to Eternity.
From Here to Eternity. Yep. Yeah, so if you want to check those out. Anyways, Cleve, it's good talking with you, man. Hope the writing's going good. Cleve's got a new book out right now, so if you haven't read Gunpowder, Magic, and Lead, it's just out. Got good reviews so far, and he's put me to shame with publishing all this good stuff really fast, so got to get back to writing. So I don't know what I'll be writing next. So, but I hope the book's a hit, but you guys got to read it. It's a really cool concept. I'm really liking it. So, and then I'm going to work on the card game and see if I can monetize this concept. All right. Well, good talking with you tonight, Cleve. I guess we'll sign off here, and we'll see you next week.
All righty.
Take care. Thanks for listening to the Merrick NHL Rick podcast. Please like and subscribe to this channel. We'll see you next week. Thank you.